Hi everyone, and welcome back to TSH, Teacher Survival Hacks. Welcome to part 2 of my video. Go ahead and click on that like button and subscribe button if you like what I am saying today or any other day. And let's start off with reviewing from my first video where I introduced myself. Again, my name is Michael. And what I discussed last time were the 4 elements of time. They are student time, instructional time, personal time, and then I said something, I labeled something called 0 hour. Well, we're going to rename that so there's no confusion. And we're going to rename 0 hour because I named that personally 0 hour. We're going to rename that and label this prep time. Prep time is your greatest component of the 4 elements of time. It will take up most of your time as a teacher. And right now, the fact that you are actually watching my video, this is part of prep time, okay? Prep time extends from all your preparation in the summer. And from the time you arrive at school and set up your classroom in the fall, and if you want to stay a little later in the evening after the kids leave, and after you finish your tutorial assignments and set up your room for the following day, that's also prep time. Okay, so prep time will be the largest component of the 4 elements of time. You want to take a proactive stance in what you're preparing for the fall. What do I mean by that? You're asking yourself, you're probably asking yourself, how do I take a proactive stance when I haven't met anybody? I don't know anybody. I just met the principal. I just saw the classroom. That's it. What you should be doing or what you need to do. This is just my humble opinion, okay, from many years of experience. You probably should be contacting your department chair or your team leader, either by phone or by email. And you need to be asking, or you should be asking, or I'm advising you in my humble opinion to be asking your department chair or your team leader the following things. Ask them, what units are we going to be studying? And are these units in sequential order in terms of the scope and sequence? What do we start and where do we end? Can you give me just a few units that we're going to be studying? Okay. Also, what activities do you remember that stand out in these units? Okay. And then last but not least, which will really help you, is what are the consumables that are on hand in the science department that the science department normally orders for each teacher? Because this is going to save you some money. It's going to save you some time and some money. If your department chair says, oh yeah, we buy all the glue sticks, we buy the scissors, we buy the pencils, we buy all these things, you don't have to worry about them. Good for you, because it's going to save you some money. But let me tell you something. During the year, you're going to be going to the dollar store. And those clerks at the dollar store are probably going to be very familiar with you because you're going to be making several trips back and forth to the dollar store. Do the parents contribute? Yes, they do. They buy tissues. They buy hand sanitizer, things like that. And you can never get enough tissues, let me tell you. Because those kids, here's what they do when they go to your desk to get a tissue. Number one, they don't ask you. They just walk up to you, to your desk and go for one sneeze, okay? So they'll use 4 or 5 sheets of tissue before you know it for one sneeze. If you catch them with gum, guess what they do? They don't just spit the gum out in the trash can. No. What they do is they'll walk over to your desk, get a tissue, put the gum in the tissue, roll up the tissue, and go throw it in the trash can. Waste of tissue. And guess what? By the end of the year, you're going to be buying that tissue. Okay? So you need to monitor that. All right? And make sure your desk is off limits to students. Do not allow students to just arbitrarily walk around your desk and pick up things off your desk like it's their desk. Don't do that, okay? Because things disappear during the year, okay? Now, getting back to your contact with the department chair. Okay, so you're going to talk to the department chair or team leader, and you're going to ask them those questions, and guess what? You're going to find out a lot about your department chair and your team leader, because they're going to be saying, oh, there's plenty of time, not to worry. Don't worry your pretty little head about that. We're going to plan together. You'll have plenty of time. Don't worry about it. Worry about it, okay? Because sometime during the year, if you're not prepared, guess what these people are going to be doing? More than likely, sometime during the year, they're going to be saying, I don't know what I feel like doing today. Sally, do you have anything? Martha, do you have anything? I just don't feel like doing that today. You need to have those lessons already planned as much as you can and ready to go. Okay? Now, it is your time to be a thief. What do I mean by that? Here's what I mean by that. I don't mean going out robbing anybody or stealing anything from anyone else. No, you don't want to do that. What you want to do is based on what your department chair and based on what your team leader has told you, if they told you anything, based on what they said, you need to be researching activities. You need to be downloading worksheets. You need to be downloading PowerPoints. You need to be downloading videos. More about how you work with those a little later. But I'm just saying, you need to be doing these things based on what your team leader and department chair has told you about the units of instruction. Okay? Now, some of these, I'm going to warn you, some of these people are not going to want to be bothered about school, and that's going to tell you a lot, because some of these people, not to be negative, I'm just saying a natural statement. Some of these people are they're procrastinators, okay? They do things at the last minute. That's not going to be good for you, okay? Not to scare you, but you need to be prepared, okay? So when you research your activities, your PowerPoints, your videos, and your worksheets, you need to get some flash drives, what people call thumb drives. And you need to download these videos, these PowerPoints, and such in these flash drives. Divide them by folders according to units. You know how to establish folders on your computer for your flash drive. You know how to do that. So you put them in categories by folder. You download them, have them ready to go. Okay? Because don't rely on the internet when you get to school for your videos and such, because guess what? A lot of times the internet goes out at school. It crashes at school, and it takes an hour or two before it comes up again. Don't rely on that. Rely on yourself. That flash drive is a native drive to your computer. You don't need the internet. You pull up whatever you need, your videos, your PowerPoints, you pull up whatever you need, and you're not relying on Mr. Internet to help you out. Okay? So please, do this. Next, get a curriculum binder. More on that in this video. I'm going to go over that with you in this video in a few minutes. Okay? Establish a curriculum binder. Everything you do as far as planning lessons should go in your curriculum binder. It's like a journal. Okay? So you are going to rely on that for your second year of instruction. Okay? Because you can always go back and say, this is what we did on May 11th, okay? And I'm ready. This is what we did on September 10th, and I'm ready for that. I've already planned it. I know my warm-up for that day. I know what video I'm going to show that day, what PowerPoint what worksheet, what activity I use. You're going to know those things next year. And that curriculum binder is going to become indispensable to help you. It's going to be your partner in crime. Okay? Now, there's an old axiom that's called close your door and teach. That's what you're going to have to do. Here's what I mean. Most schools, in most departments, and most administrators, they're going to want their teachers to teach lockstep every day. What Miss Smith does on the science team, Mrs. Jones has to do it on the science. And this is high school, this is middle school, this is elementary. They want everything lockstep. But guess what? You can't do that in science because you're sharing equipment. Mrs. Jones has all the digital thermometers and the digital scales and things like that for the day. Mr. Thomas is dissecting frogs. He has the dissection equipment. You can't dissect frogs when he has all the dissecting equipment. You cannot do that. Okay, so you're going to have to learn that axiom. You're going to have to close your door and teach. So you're going to have extra stuff already planned beyond what the team has already planned so you can fill in the gaps. Because I guarantee you there's going to be some days in which they're not going to feel like doing what they've already planned. And you're going to have to fill in the gap on your own accord. So don't rely solely on what your team has planned, because things happen. Not only that, you will have a different set of children than your team members, because you are the rookie. Typically, you're not going to get the GT kids, okay? You're going to get the regular kids, and you're going to get a lot of the SPED kids, a lot of 504s, so forth and so on. Typically, not always, but typically, that's what happens. Nothing's wrong with that. People have seniority. And the administration does not feel very kosher in allowing rookies to teach GT kids. You have to have a GT certificate. You have to go to GT classes to get those certificates. So you're probably not going to get the best kids right offhand. Your class is going to be a little like apples and oranges, okay, as compared to Mrs. Taylor's room. All right, so please be aware of that. Meaning, a lot of things that you're going to try to teach the same concept. Yes, you're going to try to teach whatever people are teaching on the team during that day, but there's going to be some days that's not going to happen. And you need to be prepared for that, which is why I'm telling you you need to do your own research, and you need to do some of your own lessons to be prepared to fill in those gaps. Because if you don't do it now, you're going to be stressed out in the fall, because there are so many things that you're going to be faced with in the fall. All types of forms and locker assignments and bus assignments, and it's just a myriad of things that it's going to feel like the world is caving in on you, okay? And then life happens. Things happen in your life. You need to make sure that you have got everything prepared while life is happening in your life, okay? Now, I did say close your door and teach. That's probably what you're going to have to do in some cases. Your number one discipline strategy, folks, is be consistent. Over prepare. Because you're going to be judged. Every teacher is going to be judged on two things: how well you handle your kids, and how well and how long your kiddos stay on task. You're going to want those kids busy from the time they walk into the classroom to the time that dismissal bell rings. Every class. Don't give those children gaps in your lesson to misbehave, because they'll take it and they will misbehave. You're going to try to make things interesting. You're going to try to make things fun. And you'll know, because those kids won't want to leave your classroom. Okay? You're going to try to do those things to keep those kids busy. If you can keep those kids busy, that's 80% of your discipline problems right there. Okay? So over prepare, be consistent. And I say be consistent because the SPED population, those little beautiful kiddos that are in special education for one reason or another, they rely on your consistency. They don't like change. They don't do well with change. You'll know that during a fire drill. They just don't do well with change. They have to have a roadmap during their day. And if you're consistent with your routines each day, that's like their roadmap. They like to follow those breadcrumbs throughout the day. It helps them be successful throughout the day. Some of these beautiful kiddos, these parents have to have a list of things that they have to do each day. Get up, wash your face, brush your teeth, take your shower, whatever. They have a list of things for their kids to do. They have to follow a routine, and you need to help them with that. Don't just do things right off the I feel like, no. Don't do that, because they will struggle in your class, and you will find out very quickly if you just do things willy-nilly, okay? So what I'm trying to tell you, teachers, is have an established routine. I'm not saying being boring. I'm not saying that. I'm saying have an established routine every day where these kids can lock in to your lessons and know what's expected of them. It's all about expectations, people. That's what's going to make you successful. If these kids can meet your expectations, that's what's going to make you successful. Now, it is time for the second half of my video today for part 2. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my lab. As promised, I'm going to show you some things. Okay? So, the first thing I need to show you is called the chimer, which is a xylophone. And it's been with me for many, many years. Why do I use the xylophone? Here's why. When your kids are talking, they're being distracted, all as a whole group, and you as a teacher do not want to shout, okay? Um, you don't want to holler at them, you don't want to shout at them, and you'll be surprised how quick you get their attention. Just like that. Magic. Try it. And you can get these xylophones at toy stores, you know, in the mall, someplace, or you can get them online. You can get them on Amazon, I'm sure. But this has been with me for many years. And here's an added bonus to the xylophone. They'll start learning the different tones on the xylophone because when it's time for us to finish a lab assignment, guess what I do? The old NBC tone. And once they hear, that means it is time to clean up, put away your supplies, get ready to go without having me. It's time to clean up. You need to stop. Blah 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 blah. You don't want to do that. You want to be in control at all times, and especially when you're being observed by your administrator, you want to just simply exercise that control. Okay? So, that is my first suggestion for you. Okay. So, let's go to the meat of the issue. And these are called, let me put this away, allow me some time to put this away. I'm sorry for the camera angles. I've been working on different camera angles. I've been trying to facilitate camera angles. I'm sure you're tired of seeing my old ugly face. So now you just see my hands and things that can help you. So let's go through the discrepant events. Okay. So what's a discrepant event and why is it important? A discrepant event is one that causes an unexpected unexpected contradiction in the student's prior knowledge. Okay? That means, wow, that's not supposed to do that in their mind. That's not supposed to do that. Why is it doing that? So it causes a contradiction to occur in their mind in relation to their prior knowledge and experience of something that has happened. They have experience about something that has happened in their life. Okay? So, and more importantly, they use problem solving skills and critical thinking skills in order to explain the phenomenon. Okay? And so you can uh, go through the discrepant event. You can list things on the board. You can say, okay, raise your hand. Tell me what's happening here. Okay, let's write this on the board. Let's write that on the board. Let's write that on the board. Okay? So you can get a very, very active stance from your students. So here's our first discrepant event. It is called the Octagon Bowl. Okay? It is really a hologram. And what it is, it's a series of mirrors. Okay, so the light is reflecting off of the different surfaces within the bowl. So you have a mirror under this whole thing is a mirror underneath, and of course, in conjunction, you have a mirror. The bowl itself is a mirror. Okay, so the light is reflecting off the mirrors, and the only opening it has is this opening up top. Okay, so it's called the Opti-Gone, excuse me. Okay, so let's see how this thing works. I'm trying to get everything so where you can see it. Okay, so let's put this up to the camera, and what you'll see is a holographic image, if that's the right word, holographic image of what's in the bowl. And so the kids, they're going to be sticking their fingers in the bowl, okay, trying to touch it, okay? And it's a ghost-like type thing, this hologram, and it's going to freak them out, okay? Now, so I have some tweezers and I have some pennies, and once you buy one of these things, you'll see it's really neat, a neat and amazing thing to work with. Okay, so here's my suggestion for you after many years of working with this thing. Don't just simply pass this around and let the students pass it among themselves, because you're going to get one of those students, a bunch of students, they're going to be saying, it's my turn. I didn't get a chance. Mr. It's my turn to say it. You're going to get that, okay? So, and you want your class, you want to pace your class, okay? You don't want to hand your class time, which is instructional time, over to your kids. So here's what you do. You walk down the aisle. You say, okay, you want to experience this? You go to each desk or each table. You allow them to experience this, okay? And then you list some things on why is this happening? You allow them to have some responses. You list the responses on the board, and you allow them to come up with an explanation. So why are we doing these discrepant events? Because here's the thing. Usually in science, you begin with these your safety unit, because you want everyone to be safe and secure in the classroom. Okay, they sign a safety contract. You send it to the parents. The parents sign the safety contract. So usually after safety and equipment that you're working on, safety and equipment, which we usually call process skills, how to measure, how to pour things, how to look at the meniscus in the graduated cylinder, so forth and so on. So usually after your process skills, and they learn the little pieces of equipment, usually you begin your scientific method. You work on the 7 steps of the scientific method, and your discrepant events will come into play when you're working on the scientific method. So right after safety and equipment, and you're working on the scientific method, then you're introducing the discrepant event. Okay? So when you use your discrepant events, you want to have a wow factor. Wow! Because here's the thing. You're trying to sell your subject. Many kids do not like science. Many kids don't understand science. Many kids are not interested in science. You're trying to sell your subject. You're like a salesperson. You're a thief and you're a salesperson. Okay? So you want to sell your subject. Here's what you want your students to do. You want them to leave the classroom. You want them to go to lunch or their next class, and you want them to gossip. Look, this is what we're doing in Mr. Ross's class. Wow, it's going to be cool. It's going to be neat. I can't wait for you to see that. I don't know how he did that. This is how you sell your subject. They go home. Mom, Dad, can you buy me an Opti-Gone? What's that? It's a bowl with mirrors and things in it. I don't know how it works, but I really want one, Mom. Okay? So you're selling your subject. Now, Opti-Gone. You can find it at Fisher Scientific, but I'm going to tell you, the last pricing that I looked was $37.50 for one bowl. It's going to cost you. But in the end, this will last for years, and it will promote your subject. Okay? All right. So, as you are working with the scientific method, okay, so here's the problem. How does this thing work? Do some research. Tell them to go home, look on their phones, Google. Tell me how this thing works. Do a write-up. for extra credit using the method, the steps of the scientific method. How does the Opti-Gone bowl work? And so what I typically do is, yes, I have them do a write-up, and guess what? I have an old grade book. I put all my extra credit points in my old grade book, and you don't have to have something like this. You just have to simply have a ledger, and you keep track. When the kids bring in their extra credit assignment, you give them a certain amount of points toward their test grade or their daily grade, or you drop their lowest average, or whatever you come up with. Okay, so you keep a record of what they did for extra credit using the scientific method. Okay, so here's another one: a discrepant event. All right, here you have a metal spike with a support. If you have a magnet, the metal spike attracts to the magnet, or the magnet attracts to the metal spike. Here you have aluminum pan. Okay? And obviously aluminum does not attract. What do? So you have a student volunteer come up, okay? Usually one of your reluctant learners, because you want to keep those kids occupied and busy. So you look around the room. And if you see one of those reluctant learners, has his or her head down, or looking off into space or something like that, don't get Johnny cut up, okay? And don't get Susie so social. Don't get her, because they're going to take the class away from you being silly. You want to get the quiet person that's just sort of tuning out, okay? So you have them come up, and you're not asking them any questions. You're just saying, as far as explaining what's going on, you just say, okay, Johnny, Johnny Reluctant, come up here, please. And he'll come up here, he'll sashay up there, and then you ask him, is this magnetic? Put the magnet toward the pan. Is this magnetic? No, not magnetic. Okay? And then what about the spike? Is that magnetic? Yeah, it's magnetic. And what about the support? Yeah, it's not magnetic. Okay? So you have them answer those questions, and you say, okay, thank you, Johnny Reluctant. Please go have a seat. Okay? Now, this is what you do. You say, okay, kids, if this is not magnetic, and because it's aluminum, then what's causing this to happen? Now, be careful not to touch the magnet onto the pan. Don't get it so close where it's touching onto the pan, because they're going to say, well, you touched it. That's why I turned and you touched it. No, don't let them do that. Don't do that, okay? And then you go the other way. Make sure you go in the other direction, counterclockwise, okay? And so forth and so on, all right? So they can see. So, what's going on here? What you're doing is you are creating what's called an eddy current, okay? When a good electrical conductor like a copper or aluminum is exposed to a changing magnetic field, which is this changing magnetic field, a current is induced in the metal. And that current reacts with the magnetic field, and it causes an eddy current to appear and to occur, and causes a slight attraction with the magnet. Okay? So that's called an eddy current. So what do you want your students to do? First of all, you allow them to list on the board. This is called constructive learning. You allow them to list the factors that allow this to happen. You give them an observation. Okay? When they write these things down, they're also copying these things on their paper. These factors on their paper, these explanations that each of the students have on their paper. Why? because it's part of the observation in the scientific method. What did they observe? What is their explanation? What is their hypothesis? It's part of their hypothesis and it's part of their observation in the scientific method. They use this notation to go home and construct the steps of the scientific method. So what's the problem? Your research, have them research. You can tell them it's eddy currents. Have them research eddy currents. What was the procedure? What was the hypothesis? What was the steps involved? What were your observations that were written on the board? And so forth. And then what's going to be your conclusion? Okay? And so forth and so on. So you can have them work on the scientific method using discrepant events. So they'll take this idea home and they'll take this idea among the other members of their class, their peers, during other periods. Well, Mr. Ross, I don't understand how that works. I don't understand. Okay? So these are two things that you can use to promote science in your classroom. Do I have more things? Yes, but not today. The last thing I want to tell you is, permit me to turn and bring in my binder. Okay? Now, oh, I'm sorry. I do have one more thing. I lied. Okay? Here's another way to perform the eddy current experiment. This is called an eddy current tube. Okay? And so you say it's magic. So what you do is you say some magic words. Eeny, penny, pum, something like that. And then you place a piece of metal over it. And you say, oh, look. Let me show you again because I had a bad camera angle. So you place the metal in there and it drops. Okay? Then you say some more magic words. Eeny, penny, pum. Eeny, penny, pum. Okay? And then you drop the magnet in there. What caused that delay? Let me show you from another angle. You get the picture, but let me show you once more. What caused that delay? Well, it's the same principle as with the pipe hand, the aluminum pipe hand. It's an eddy current. You had a neodymium magnet in its magnetic field, changing magnetic field with the aluminum conductor, which caused an eddy current, which caused a temporary attraction with the aluminum material and the neodymium magnet. Okay? So you'll know how to, jazz it up, make it look like it's a magic trick or something like that. Students love these types of things. Okay? All right. So that's another version of the eddy current experiment. And again, scientific method, have them write, give them something to do, keep these kids busy. This is my binder. Now, I've been doing this for a number of years, so my point to you, as I was saying before in the first part of this video, is this. You keep a binder or your journal or everything you did. Each one of these sections, let me turn it to where you can see it. Okay? A little awkward here. Each one of these sections represents a day. Okay? A day in the life. All right? So here's one lesson. Here's another lesson. Here's another lesson. Here's another lesson. Here's another lesson. I know the activities, the videos, everything that we did during that day. Okay? And this is a journal. this big binder right here is first semester. Okay, it's the first semester. It has worksheets. It has activities in it. Uh, all types of things that I think is pertinent to my instruction. It has questions, reading questions, PowerPoint questions, uh, again, worksheets, activity worksheets, everything that I think is pertinent to the unit. Okay, and so when there's a time in your teaching career in which, oh, I don't know what to do. Yes, you do. You did this last year on such and such a day. I kept a record of it, and I'm going to revisit that the following year. And when you do revisit that, guess what? You always improve it. Okay? You always improve it. Does it have to be the exact same thing as you did the following year? No. But you do, the human nature, if you're a good teacher, you're going to tweak some things to improve upon what you did the year before. You're going to add some things, you're going to move this thing over here and this thing over there to tweak it. And it happens every year. But you have some idea on what you're doing each day. You're never out of focus. You're always focused. You're always ready to go. You'll never walk into a classroom in your classroom and say, I have no idea what I'm doing today. Yes, you do. You have it all down. And this is what you're working on in the summer. My last point to you is this. I used to be a coach. I used to be many things, but I also used to be a coach. And I can tell you this. Athletes are made in the summer. Teachers are made in the summer. Get this thing done, folks, on your time. When you have time, you feel like working on your craft, do it. If you don't feel like working on your craft, you want to just chill with your lemonade and sitting out on your hammock or going to a barbecue, do it. You have this leisure time at your pace to work on what you need for the fall. You don't have to work on this every day in the summer, but do work on some things and get these things done. Because the fall is stressful, okay? So, just like an athlete, athletes train most of the time in the summer months or the off season. They become better. Teachers become better in the off season. Don't sit up there and suck your thumbs for 3 months or 2.5 months and wait for the fall to come to you. You have to be proactive. As I said in my introduction, you're going to have to change your way of thinking to be a more successful teacher. And this binder, now again, this binder is from several years of work. This your first binder or your first journal is not going to look like this. It's going to be much smaller. This is one semester of content right here from different units. Okay, it's not going to be like this. It's not going to be this detailed. But as you work on your craft throughout the years, it will begin to look like this. And you will have, and what you're trying to do, people, is you're trying to give yourself options for success. There is nothing better in life than options. And these are options. You can choose this on this day. You can choose this activity on another day. You can choose the reading assignments or film assignments on this day. It's all in here for your enjoyment and for you to cruise through. Okay? So, I've said enough for today. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this. I hope you have benefited from some things that I discussed. Uh, I will return with some more activities. I will return with some more discrepant events. We're just getting a little taste right now, folks. We're just what they call the tip of the iceberg. I have a lot more things to show you and a lot more things to say to you. Okay, thanking you for your time. This time, until next time, I am signing off. Have a great day.